Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the press conference for Triangle of Sadness in competition at the Cannes 2022 Film Festival. I will introduce our guests, starting next to me with the immensely wealthy, Henrik Droysen, who plays the immensely wealthy and generous and equally socially awkward Jorma. At the other end of the table, someone you'll all recognize. He plays Dmitry, the East European manure magnate, Zlatko Boric. Next to him, a writer and actress in the role of Paula, the ship's chief steward, and Martinet, Vicky Berlin. In the role of Abigail, the toilet cleaner, whom fate catapults to power, and the woman you would like to have with you if you're ever shipwrecked, Dolly de Leon. Next, three-time Academy Award nominee, four-time Golden Globe nominee, and eight-time Emmy Award nominee and Emmy Award winner, Woody Harrelson. And in case you haven't noticed it, you might want to pick up the Daily Mail because there's a photo spread of Woody showing his abs. Next to him, Charlie Dean, who's making her debut acting performance on the big screen in the role of Yahya. In the role of Carl, his breakout performance was in Eliza Hittman's Beach Rats, and he's gone on to star in such varied films as The King's Man and The Souvenir Part 2, Harris Dickinson. And finally, the film's director, scriptwriter, editor. He was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film for his previous film, 2017's The Square, which of course won the Palme d'Or in Cannes. His previous film, Force Majeure, won the Un Certain Regard Jury Prize in 2014, Ruben Östlund. Welcome back. We don't have room for everyone up here, but I'd like to introduce a couple of members of the cast and crew who were sitting in the first row. I'll start at the far end with the film's producer, Eric Hemendorf. Next to him in the role of the engine room hand or pirate, we're never sure exactly which, Jean-Christophe Folly. And finally, actress Sonyi Meles. While you're all catching your breath, I will begin the press conference by asking Ruben, what attracts you to fashion and the world of fashion?
The thing is that 8 years ago, I met my wife, Sina, and she is a fashion photographer. So when we met, I just wanted to know everything about the fashion industry, and we started to talk a lot about how the fashion industry is marketing their products and the condition of the models when they're working, and talking about beauty as a currency. And I felt at the same time when we started to talk about this that beauty is attractive, but it's also scary. And beauty is setting the hierarchy so much. So that was really the starting point.
And what about the world of fashion? What is it about that?
Well, I can tell you one thing that I think is super interesting with how fashion is the strategy of the marketing. And it comes from research about zebras in the savannah. And it was a scientist that was looking at the zebras in the savannah and tried to spot one individual of the zebras in a herd. And it turns out it's really, really hard because the zebras is just disappearing. And then they sprayed a red dot on the fur of one zebra, and then it was possible to spot it, but immediately it got taken by lions. And so this scientist was drawing parallel to the fashion industry, that the camouflage of the zebra is not to disappear in the savannah, it's actually to disappearing in the herd. And fashion works in the same way. We are very aware of which social group we are connected to and how we dress in order to blend into that social group, so we're not popping out too much. And so the fashion industry, of course, it's great to have a new collection coming out in fall and a new collection coming out in spring, because then we have to consume more clothes in order to not pop out in the herd. So these things from a sociological, behavioristic point of view was an approach I had when I started to look at the fashion industry.
Thank you. There are lots of questions, so I'm going to open it up to the floor. Jason, in the center.
Hello, this is Jason Gorber from Canada. Ruben, we could talk about Thorstein Veblen and consumption and Hegel and Marx, and we can go a deep philosophical dive, but I want to talk about how your film is really fucking funny.
Great.
And I want to talk about this because I think people come to Cannes looking for films that are serious and not realizing that funny is smart. And so if you could talk about, as a director, of bringing incredibly, intensely philosophical ideas to a framework of entertainment, and as performers, especially Woody in particular, you've made a career of showing that sometimes stupid can be very smart, and that sometimes being clever, and that underneath it all. But as performers, if you could talk about setting that line, that you're not going too far, that you're taking something serious and seeing the silliness, but also taking the silliness and showing that sometimes it's life and death. Lots of questions, but if first the director and then the performers, if we could talk about finding that balance.
Thank you so much for asking that question, because I think that has been a goal for us with this film, that we wanted to create like a roller coaster for adults, and something that is entertaining and challenging and funny, and to really use the cinema for what it's to use for, you know, like to have an experience together. And when you leave the cinema afterwards, you should be like, what have happened, you know, and you have something to talk about. And we wanted to get away of, like we were doing test screenings, you know, and I wanted to get away from the audience that is sitting like this, now I should react in a smart way because someone is watching me, you know, yeah, and then afterwards like, yeah, the film have a problem, you know, and I wanted to bring in audience. I was doing test screenings, we were doing in Berlin and in Stockholm, and now also on the countryside in Spain, and it was so great to go to the countryside of Spain, where we had 30 people that have no experience of cinema, and just bring them in, and they were like laughing and screaming straight out, and you know, and I was like, finally, you know, an audience that is giving something back. And I think that we also have to remind ourselves that we Europeans are very often not a good audience. We sit with our arms crossed like this and like, okay, let's see what happens, and we forget that we are part of the show, we are part of the performance. So when you go to US and have screenings there, the audience is like, wow. And okay, then you can talk about the content of the film, but we have a responsibility to create a great screening, and that was so beautiful yesterday. It was so beautiful because people were applauding during, like, it was a football game, someone told me. It was a football game going on. And when Dolly's character is like taking over the control, they're like, yeah, you know, like, so, and this is the goal with the movies that we're going to make in the future also. We are combining the best part of the European cinema, that is intellectual, that is trying to say something about society, with the best part of American cinema, that is like, okay, if we don't make this film successful, we don't have any job anymore, and we can't support our children, and they can't go to college, you know, like, this two kind of pressure, and really create cinema that makes it like, fucking, I want to go to the cinema. Mm. Applaud.
Woody, anything to add, since you were referencing the question? Anything to add to that?
Oh, yeah, I didn't know I'd made a career out of just barely keeping stupid into the funny realm. But thank you for that. No, anyway, it's an honor to be a part of this. I think Ruben is just a master at doing what you said. He can make you extremely uncomfortable. He can make you think. He can give you a sense of meaning, and like there was a purpose to going to see the film, and at the same time, and perhaps more importantly, he makes you laugh throughout, which is quite a trick.
Thank you. Question on the
Right.
That's how we end every question.
My name is Marcus. I work for One Press TV. Just want to say, Ruben Östlund, welcome back to Cannes. I want to ask Woody Harrelson a question. First, I want to say, big fan of your movie, White Men Can Jump. You're hilarious in the one. Never stop acting.
Okay.
Back to this one, Triangle of Sadness. What caught your interest to being part of this movie, and how did you get in contact with Ruben?
Oh, well, well, I mean, Ruben is a maestro, so my interest was to work with Ruben, certainly, but someone asked me, I think, and I didn't contact him and say, put me in your next film, but I'm gonna be in his next film, whether he wants me to or not. But anyway, it's once you read this script, it was just absolutely phenomenal. Yeah.
You're going to play a captain on an airplane the next time. I can briefly tell, it's a long-haul flight. The title is The Entertainment System is Down. I think you get it, right?
Need a chief stew for that?
Of course.
John B. and Harris, I'd like to ask both of you a question. What do you think of the society, of the role that beauty plays in our social hierarchies? And what has it meant for you?
I think coming from a fashion background, I definitely have an inside scoop into it. And it does play a role in it, whether you are aware of it or not. And you see that in this film. And I think what makes it so interesting is in real life, we do have a currency, whether it's our wealth or our beauty or our influence or our power. And then you're put into a situation where that currency is of no longer value. And then who are you? What do you bring to the table? And will you be eaten first? So.
I mean, my character Carl very much knows where he stands in that sense. I think he uses it to his advantage, and I think it's something I value him for doing. It's like I think Ruben makes very astute points about human behaviour, and I think he's incredibly observant, and being a part of those conversations are informative and entertaining as well. You know, Ruben is very wonderful at picking holes in our behaviour and our egos, and I think with this character, I really had to try and let go of that and allow myself to be pathetic and offer myself up as a piece of meat. And that's an absurd thing to do, but in the scenario, it's what works, and it's what gets him forward. So it's, like Shelby said, it's a part of our everyday. Yeah.
Thank you. We have a question in the center.
Hi, my name's Dobra from the French media L'Éloge. A question for Ruben. I believe this is your first film that's fully in English, and I was wondering if there was a reason for it. And I also wanted to say that very recently I saw a stage version of your film Snow Therapy in Paris, which I really liked, but I couldn't help regretting it was someone else's adaptation and not yours. So is theatre writing and directing part of your future plans?
How was the theatre play?
How was the?
Yeah, how was it? How was Snow Therapy? Yeah, sorry?
I liked it.
I
liked it, but I thought it was yours and then got disappointed when I understood it wasn't.
Aha, okay, yeah. Sorry, what was the first question?
I was wondering if there was a particular reason for this film to be in English.
No, but it was, of course, it's as a director, you want to reach out as much as possible. Even though I am a little critical that there's such an Anglo-Saxon dominance when it comes to cinema and media in general. But I wanted to do something where we push out even further. And after the Golden Palm, there was a possibility with financiers and so on to do a bigger project. And English is my second language. I would love to do a film in French or in German also, but English is my second language. And then the films were also taking place in an environment where people speak English with each other. So it was a natural step for me to make. And I was nervous about it because I didn't know if I would miss out on the nuances like that I can find in the Swedish language. But the actors took such a great responsibility also of the script because as soon as there was something that they felt that I wouldn't say it in that way, they could add things and change things and so on. And what was it about the writing? Yeah, sorry.
Are your future plans about theater?
Future plans about?
Theater writing and directing.
My future plans about it?
Do you want to do theatre?
Theatre, sorry, okay. I had an idea of a theatre play that I wanted to do in Sweden. There was 8 actors that should play monkeys for 3 hours, and they should be naked on stage all the time. But I have still not been able to
Find
do
actors.
it. I want to.
I would like to.
Yes, thank you.
Starkos like, yes, we'll do.
Who are you in? You're in. Yeah. Oh, it would be fantastic alpha silverback, you know.
I have a question for Vicky. Vicky, I've read that Ruben doesn't give his actors, his cast, scripts. So what did he tell you about the part and about what you were to play?
What he told me about the role?
Yes.
Well, when I got the casting in the beginning, it said that my role was 25 years old. I'm not. So I didn't think I would get it in the beginning. But Ruben is cool about that because he looks at types and what the actors give him, and then he chooses from that, not from like facts like age. And he told me that I was going to be very friendly and very likable, but also very tough. And he liked my smile being, what do you call that?
Strained.
Yeah, strained smile. Yes. All the time. And never saying no. Yeah, that's about it. And it's cool to work with Ruben because you get to improvise a lot. Mm-hmm. So you're forming the part with him, and that's very unique, I think.
Speaking of improvising, according to the press kit, you did an average of 23 takes per shot. What's that like for the actors?
It felt like more.
Henrik?
When you're doing it in a scene where you have lines and acting, I like it very much. But when you're doing it when you're walking up a hill, or that's because I'm lazy, perhaps, or dragging a donkey. We had a scene where we were dragging the dead donkey across the stony beach, and then I got a little angry, and it was cut.
I didn't get you.
So then I don't like 23 takes, but I love it when you're doing this scene when you're acting and interacting, because then it's like rehearsing in the theater, but then you can try different things, do it more funny, or do it less funny, do it faster, do it slower, try to begin crying, and that's a gift, to have the time to do it and to examine it, like the social experiments, the sociological experiments that you're talking about.
Can I just tell quickly, because what we do when we do a lot of takes is that first we try to find out exactly how to sculpture the scene, and it often gets better up to take 20. You know, like, it's getting better, wow. And then somewhere at take 20, it's getting worse. So it's like, oh, fuck, no, it's good. No, it's not that good anymore. And then you fight to try to push up the level of the performance and intensity in the scene. And if you manage to do that, then you take a break. And then you say, when the actors come back on set, you say, okay, everybody, 5 takes left. And then you do a countdown. And like, okay, 4 takes left, come on now. And in the end, when you do the last 3 takes, then the whole team is gathering around the camera. everybody's looking at the actors, giving them full attention. There's not allowed that someone is standing and scrolling, you know, not giving them attention. And you try to put in some presence, like in that moment. It's like, it should be like a football game, and now we're going to win that football game together. And like very often it's the second last take or the last take that is used in the film. And now in this film I actually brought the gong, you know, like bong to the shooting.
I hate this song. I hate it. It's so loud.
And then you're like going bong and then like action. And when you do it then it's like it can be such an intense feeling. And that's the whole work as a director, to try to capture that and bring that to the screen later on. Yeah. So that's why we're doing a lot. I like to do a lot of takes.
It works.
Yeah.
It does, obviously. Thank you. We have a question. Rodrigo.
Oh, hi. Question from Brazil, from Rodrigo Fonseca, G Show. The first is Mr. Woody Harrelson. First of all, thank you for existing. The question is, in what ways do collaborations with non-American directors renew your relation with cinema? And the second question is to Mr. Oslund. The kind of comedy you make are very particular and incredible, but watching the movie yesterday, I had the sensation that Triangle of Sadness somehow dialogues with some films of Roy Andersson and Aki Kaurismäki. Do you see yourself as part of this family of ironic directors? Thank you very much.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like your energy, sir. No, I feel like, I don't know, when you say non-American directors, that's such a general category. I mean, Ruben is very much his own thing, and you know, it really is an exciting, visceral, profound experience to work with Ruben. I mean, he really, you know, he works in a very unique way. He talked about the way he gets energy from the actors, everything from the, you know, he's molding in all the takes, and he's, you know, using the gong, and he does everything to make the performance as great as it can be. So it's really a revitalizing experience, you know, to come and work with someone like him. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, but I love Kaurismäki and Roy Andersson. And I think Kaurismäki and Roy Andersson is very inspired of Jacques Tati also. So there's a certain kind of family with. What I love about them is also the simplicity of the situations and the comedy. It's not posing. It's very direct, and it's very humanistic. I always feel there's a warm feeling of how they are treating all the characters and all the scenes, even though they deal with horrible things sometimes. The scenes. No, I love them. I love them.
Dolly, I have a question for you. Speaking of doing horrible things, what does Yahya come out of the film alive?
Yeah, I've been asked that question many times, and I asked Ruben's permission if I can give my answer. To me, she dies. Of course, Abigail kills her, of course.
Yes.
Absolutely. But I love you, Shelby. Okay, and I'm Dolly. I'm not Abigail. So, and she kills Yahya exactly the way Yarmo killed the donkey. Exactly that way. Yeah.
But she doesn't cry afterwards.
No. No crying.
And you didn't have to drag her across the beach.
No, I didn't have to.
No.
I just left her there.
Question in the center. Yes, madame.
Hello, Florencia Angeles from W Radio in Colombia and Mexico. I don't have a question, but the first one for Harris. Like a young actor, I love this scene at the beginning of all these questions about the gender equality, about if women have to pay or not. I would like to know your personal opinion about that. And from Woody, I love this personage and the character, sorry. And how did you prepare this scene with the power man of a lot of discussion, the philosophy or communist, or if you have maybe I don't know any phrase words sorry to this dialogue with him, and I don't know. I think the captain is the only the person who really understand the truth of all the inequality, all this no sense, the rich and the poor. And I love this film. It's very very funny, but very cruel because at the end. Abigail, he begins also a poor woman, but with abuse of his power. Thank you.
Thank you.
So.
Wow. Yeah, I'll quickly answer and then I'll let you go, Woody. That was a big question for you. I guess in terms of my own opinion, I think that, like, you know, I know certain people that love that, the stereotypical gender roles, and I know that people are in relationships that enjoy having that, you know, whether it's an imbalance or a balance, and I know people that are moving in a more, you know, equality-based, you know, modern way. So I don't really have anything more to say about that. But what I love about the way Ruben depicts those scenarios and the way we got to play that is that you really, you know, you get to scrutinize it, but you also get to leave it open to discussion and allow it to be something to explore, you know, rather than just, you know, this is what it should be. And yeah.
Question.
How I feel about the character, but you know, the character's a Marxist. I'm not a Marxist. I'm an anarchist. But so in that sense, we differ. You know, I'm the kind of guy who just thinks it's abominable when a superpower with all this military might, with no provocation, you know, attacks just unprovoked, attacks a country that is, you know, like you know, Iraq. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Korea. No, sorry, Ukraine. Terrible. Yeah, I lost my way there. Anyway. I love the character, and I do think that in a lot of ways he let my character be the voice of some of the message of the film, so that was cool.
That question for you. Do you have any experience with oligarchs, Eastern European oligarchs, and what did you, as an Eastern European who grew up under communism, did you have a slightly different take on what the film was showing?
You think I used the experience from transition in Yugoslavia from socialist economic to Wild West capitalism, and it's when I did this character of Dimitri, so I knew exactly the situations, and the joke is that my friend from Freaky Theater and Hitchhiker friend, he became a Croatian ambassador in Russian, and said Ruben pushed me really, don't I put a big story, and I thought I will make a big picture. I put on the paper. I called him, Bože, do you think it's realistic? This and but so we had a really huge story for Dimitri, everything, how Dimitri earned the first money within the station. We do improvisation about it. It's not in the movie, but you know, it's it's in Dimitri. Yeah? So, it's like a story. Yeah. No. If it's that.
Thank you. Next question on the left.
Hi, my name is Lieselot from London. First, I got a question for Ruben. How did you pitch this script to like producers and supporters? Because there's a lot happening in this movie. So I was wondering what was your line and to them. And then for the cast, whoever wants to answer, what were your thoughts when you finally knew what this movie was actually about?
I think one pitch was like, okay, the film starts in the fashion world. It goes to a luxury yacht, and it ends on a deserted island. We're going to follow a male and a female model that is a couple through this journey, and we're going to see how they use their looks as a currency in these 3 different environments. And we're going to have a Marxist captain on the yacht, played by Woody Harrelson, and then everybody's like, yeah, I mean, and he is going to have the captain's dinner on the day when the weather gets rough, so all the passengers will get super seasick, and he will get very drunk together with a Russian oligarch, and they will start playing with the mic system and read from the communistic manifest to this throwing up passengers of the luxury yacht that will even start shitting also. So there will be shit and there will be throw up, and it's going to be the end of the Western civilization.
And who could resist?
Sorry.
Yeah, for the cast who wants to answer.
The cast, yeah.
Maybe from left to right.
Yeah, when I first read it, Ruben told me, just like he told you now, what the movie was going to be about. And I thought, this is the shit. No, but this is great. I want to see this movie. If I'm not in it, I'm going to see it, because I was blown away by the scope of it, and that it starts small and goes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and I haven't seen that before in a movie. So and I like the message as well.
Yes, I'm so happy that everybody was like standing behind this socialistic content that we're carrying with the film. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Dolly, what about you?
I think that from my perspective, because I'm Filipina, I am a Filipina, and there are a great majority of overseas Filipino workers who are domestic helpers in other countries. So I felt like the piece was very important, that there is a person who has very little advantage, but one day takes over a society, and she's the one in power, and people look up to her and depend on her. So I thought that was very important, and I thought it was really fun to play someone like that. So that part alone, I was already sold on it. I thought it was a really fantastic idea to bring us up in a place where we normally don't feel like we're in, because we come from underprivileged families and we're a developing country.
Harris.
Yeah, I would have played the donkey, you know. I would have. It's just an honor to be a part of this, and also like when I did, fuck you. when we were auditioning, like Ruben is so he has such passion and excitement for it, and he also like you're a really great actor as well. Like you read opposite for all the auditions, and I remember being like, wow, like if he can do all of these parts so well, like. How is it going to be directed? So it was just like immediate excitement from everything, you know?
I think for me, obviously, working with Ruben was already you're winning. You know, you're so lucky to already get that opportunity. But I thought it was also important to bring a voice to models, as silly as that may sound to many. But girls and guys travel, myself included, travel from a really young age. I left home at 13. I went to Tokyo. I was still afraid of the dark. And I was in a city where I didn't speak the language. I didn't know how to get around. And you're forced to grow up really, really quickly. And people may look at you and be like, you're pretty, you're vapid, you're not layered, you're not multidimensional. But in fact, there's a hard exterior that you don't really get to know without actually realizing what people in the fashion industry go through. And we get to show that, I think. So thank you for that.
Woody, you're on.
Oh.
Your turn.
What was the question exactly?
Yeah.
I
think I've talked too much already. You go.
Oh, I go? Okay, well, what I think was interesting about this movie is it has so many messages, and it speaks to a different message to every one of us. And I think that was, I like the equality thing, that you have to think about the hierarchy, that treat people nice when you're up, treat people that are lower than you nice. And I think that's a great message, that we should not treat people like they're shit. Speaking like Paula, I think it's a good message to the world that we shouldn't we should think about equality much more than we actually do. And like for Dolly has a message, for Shelby has a message, and I think everybody who watches this movie will see their own message in it, and I think that's really important.
Thank you. Zlatko.
So if the question was what the first impression first impression I didn't got the whole script, but some scene for casting, and I read it and I said, wow, it's fantastic, how this writer know me, that I'm Marxist and I'm socialist all my life, and I have this, I should say these lines, Marxist, come on, all 68 I read about. So I came to this meeting and say, hey, but you are Dimitri, what? I didn't understand. I expected it's me, Captain, it's me. So now I have to turn, so now I have to be capitalist pig. So it was, so that's it turned that way.
But it was really fun because when you were taking stop bullshitting, pay taxes. I love that the oligarch is saying this to the passenger.
I mean, it's a joke, but it's really, I thought that because I was, no, it's me, now, fuck this show business now. But they touched me, it was when the script is touched me, but for me it's important that it's a film, it's how to say, the old-fashioned has engagement. Yeah, but my formative years was in the end of 60s and 70s, and all that in that time, or in this part of theater or film, what I been in there or liked, it was time when people tried. It was something wish that art or film or theater important in the society discussion, and so it was like, for me it was like some kind of that we are here in this project, that is some line from this kind of active art from 60s and 70s through 80s. It's like, so we are here with this film, which I feel it's not it's fun, but it's on another way it's a place for this discussion, something like that.
I'm afraid you all have very busy schedules, and we have no more time. Thank you very much for joining us. All the best.